What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Yee Yee podcast. It is Wednesday, May 26th. May 26th.
It's gonna be May. Sorry.
I think that meme has already been
Sorry.
circulating. So, got myself. I do the marketing over at Yee Yee Apparel. We've got Parker, who runs ship. And then we've got,
What does that
for the
mean?
first, you run the ship. You're the pirate.
Oh.
You're the captain. And for the first episode ever, is this the first time you've ever been on the episode?
Yes, it is.
That was the first thing he ever said. Yes, it is. That was so calculated. We've got Ben over here in the corner.
Hey, guys.
Intern Ben. So we're going to talk a little bit about Ben's story. Ben went from intern to now he's full-time, moved from Massachusetts. And, yeah, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, the elephant in the room, NASCAR.
Yeah. We have a hood.
We do have a hood. We have a Yee hood.
We have a hood here. So what should we do with it? Some of you country boys would be able to tell us how we should mount it. Should we put LED lights on it? Should we try to frame it? Do we hang it up? Do we make a big coffee table out of it?
Well, you know what they're going to say. They want us to give it away.
No, we're not going to give it
we're
to
not,
you.
We're not giving it to you. If you want the Yee hood, too bad. You don't get it. Yeah, so the race was great. Granger, Parker, and I went. A lot of the employees sat like across the way, so it was really cool. We could see them from where we were sitting in the pit box. So we were there all day. Got to hang out, meet Brandon's team. Everyone was great. We had a blast, man. It was a cool experience. I grew up around all kinds of sports, and so I've seen a little bit of everything, but NASCAR was something unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be there and really root for somebody. And if y'all watched it at home, I'm sure NASCAR is it really toys with your emotions because there's so much flip-flopping. He'll go from 3rd to 17th, or he literally in the race, if you were watching, a lot of it is there's so much strategy behind it. And we were back there listening to him talk to the crew chief, and they were talking about if he was going to pit versus if he was not going to pit. And so he decided to stay out. So he got up to 3rd at the end of stage 1. And so that was cool. And he got some airtime. And then he got wrecked, which he's just gotten so unlucky recently. And Hayden and I were talking about it. It's if you get the good drivers, what was interesting is because he went all the way to the back after he got wrecked. And then he fought all the way to top 20. So it's interesting when you get those good drivers all the way to the back, they find their way forward pretty quickly. Yeah. And then he made all the way back up to 6th, and then he got hit again and then went all the way to the back. So it wasn't our day, but it was a lot of fun, and it just has us so excited for Bristol because short tracks, they call it a short track when it's just a little oval. That's Brandon's specialty versus a road race wasn't necessarily one that he's known for, but he still did awesome. The whole crew was super nice to us.
Yeah, so finished 17th overall, correct?
Yeah, he finished 17th.
Which he was 3rd in stage 1, which I know a lot of you old school NASCAR fans hate the stages, and I agree that I like the old racing format, but he did get some points on the year. And at the end of the day, we'd love for him to win in the Yee car, but we're also Brandon Jones fans, so we want him to be in the playoffs at the end of the year. We want him to be getting these points. So how was it watching, because we were just so involved all day, with all the operations of NASCAR and meeting all these different people. How was it, from the fans' perspective, Ben? Because we were in the pit box and we could literally see y'all. We had this little Yee cheering section, and it was so cool, and they were right across the way. So how was it from that angle?
It was pretty cool. It kind of like what you guys were saying. It was exciting just having a dog in the fight, first of all, and especially since he kind of got bumped back to none of his fault. It was just exciting because every single time he came back around, he was in front of the next guy. And he was in front of the next guy, and he just kept on going. So it was just who's Brandon going to be in front of next time I see him?
Yeah, Kyle Busch ended up winning, which Kyle Busch, Cup Series racer, so he was racing down. He kind of ran away with it. I mean, a lot of people hate Kyle Busch, but he's a stud, and he's one of the best ever. And he's Joe Gibbs Racing, which is who Brandon's with, too. So, unless I would have been rooting for him, but he was going against Brandon, so it was tough, but we're excited for Bristol. A lot of people ask about merch. We got a lot of questions about merch. What's the plan there? It's gone kind of back and forth, so we would have loved to have already had apparel out, but It is what it is. What's the status?
We just got approved to even sell merch. I sent in my application. Like, I thought we were going to be able to do it way before this race, but then there was just a lot of red tape involved with NASCAR, and so I sent in the application and we didn't hear back for a long time, and so I just found out like a day before the race that we were even approved to send stuff in for review. So now like we have all this stuff ready to go, but I have to send it through. We're like approved as a licensee to potentially be approved. So basically I just have to send it all in and then it get approved, and then I don't know how long that's going to take. And then it's probably a month to make it. So we were like, well, I don't really want to just drop it in the middle of the summer now. So we'll probably wait till a little bit closer till Bristol, and so that everybody will have it who's going or is going to watch it from home. You'll be able to have it before Bristol. So the plan is like probably August sometime.
Yeah, and what's cool about that, we've talked about it a lot, but just so people at home know, is that the day of Bristol in September, it's September 18th, I believe, that's also our fall launch. And our fall launch is always our biggest. It's always, I think it's our best as far as product is concerned, and even more so this year. We're going to have a lot of new custom products that Parker's been working on. So that's going to be like probably the biggest day ever, I would think, of Yee's history. Like we've got a car in the NASCAR race at Bristol, one of the top 5 tracks probably in NASCAR, and it's going to be like our biggest day ever. We're going to have so many new products, so we're excited. We're excited for y'all to be a part of that for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. We were talking about like potentially having it say like yee.com/fall on the back, or like doing some like minor changes. Tyler had an awesome idea to do like a Lightning McQueen car for River, and so we had like a bunch of different paint scheme ideas going around, but honestly, this one turned out pretty awesome. The announcers were talking about it, and we don't really want to mess with it, especially since we only have 2 races.
Yeah, well, and just we want to ask y'all. Like we were talking about it. We're like, oh, should we change it up a lot? Should we keep it the exact same? Should we make some minor changes? Like what do y'all want to see? Comment below. Tweet us. Comment whatever wherever you're listening. If you're listening on YouTube, just comment below and hit that subscribe button while you're there. But yeah, just let us know what y'all think we should do. I like the little subtle things. The camo was sick, man. No one out there is saying like the Lowe's car or the Cheddar's car or whatever, and they were literally saying the Yee Yee car on the live telecast, which I know that the announcer that was talking about it probably isn't a lot of people's favorite driver ever, but it's cool for us. It's cool to even hear our name on a nationally televised sport. It's really surreal. And we're excited for Bristol. All along, the Austin one was kind of a cherry on top, I would say. Mm-hmm. The big boy has always been Bristol, and Austin was an awesome little add-on. It's in our backyard. So that was cool.
Looking back, what we should have done is have everybody vote on the car, and we come up with like 4 or 5 different mock-ups, and everybody votes, kind of like what Busch did for what did Busch just recently vote on?
Well, they let people vote on the did you see that?
No.
They let people vote on the name of the race. So it was like people sent in different ideas, and like they narrowed it down to 4, and then they did like a Twitter poll. But one of them was like, I think that what won was the Bushy McBush 400 or something like that. It was just so stupid, but it's so smart. Busch just does incredible marketing.
Well, we were just watching that documentary last night about Nickelodeon. That's what we grew up on, and it was so cool how it just seems to me that like the successful businesses and networks are just the ones that don't take themselves too seriously, and the ones that like aren't afraid to like break the mold a little bit, not to do anything super revolutionary, but just like stop back and think like, what do people who are watching this actually care about? How can we get people involved? And so looking back, I'm sorry, Yee Yee Nation, that we didn't get y'all more involved, but maybe like, I don't know if we're going to change the car completely, but it would be cool if we had people vote on like, we should put like some like subtle things on it, like a lightning bolt on the side, like what color should the lightning bolt be, or just something cool so everybody can vote, so everybody can be a part of it, because like you guys are the reason that we even have the car in the first place.
If it was yellow, it'd match 1 Lightning McQueen and then 2 the Yee Yee that we already had on it.
Yeah,
true.
We could do yellow. Be cool.
So we got a little bit of time, and then just to point out one thing I wanted to say for listeners that may not understand. Whenever we make our own apparel, whenever Parker was talking about that just a minute ago, the NASCAR or racing apparel that we're going to do, we don't have to answer to anyone. Like the way it works is Parker comes up with stuff or sometimes works with a graphic designer or like whatever, but it is literally just him coming into my office and Granger's and Tyler's and Amber's and whoever. I mean, literally anybody that'll listen. You're just like, hey, what do y'all think about this? And if there's enough yays, then and not that many nays, then we do that. Whereas NASCAR, we're literally using a mega monopoly, a major sports logo. We're using their likeness. So there's all kinds of clearances there. We don't usually have to give a royalty rate to anyone because we're not using anyone's likeness. Whereas here, we're going to have to give a royalty rate. So there's all that like fun stuff that's what holds stuff up. I mean, how long does it usually, if you wanted a shirt right now, if you thought of a shirt design, how long would it take you to have that shirt right here if you really wanted to? Regular, not NASCAR, not any, we don't have to answer to anyone.
A regular shirt with our local vendor here in Austin shirt, he could probably have it here in like, I don't know, 10 business days.
Right. So the NASCAR, there's all these different hoops that we have to jump through. And it's not NASCAR. That's how everything would work at this level. So
like the crew shirt that y'all saw with the 19 on the chest and then the 19 on the back that we made. We just made those exclusive for the crew. And then I was like, we'll do like, so I think some people may like those. Like a lot of people commented, and I was like, we'll just drop those along with it. And then we never got approved, and then it still hasn't been approved yet. And so we still can't sell them. And I was just like, dang it. So we have like 150 of those hats and 150 of the crew shirts exclusive that are here. And so we'll probably just drop those. I don't know. We may drop those like in the middle of the summer sometime, and we'll give you all a heads up. But I almost feel bad selling. We were just talking about it today. I feel bad dropping stuff when there's just not that much because it sells so fast. And then I feel bad for the people who feel like that they missed out. But like Hayden said, we're so used to just coming up with stuff on the fly and just like doing whatever we want. And like I learned the hard way with NASCAR. I was talking to the lady and she was like, you have to have a big Toyota logo on it. And I was like, because like we've already gotten so much crap because of Toyota. And so they wanted me to like, she like told me it had to have Toyota on it. And so like I put it like on the back underneath really small and white. And she was like, just put it on the sleeve. It has to be like at least an inch and a half. And then I put it on the sleeve and she was like, it has to be the red one. And so it's just like it had to be this big red Toyota logo. I was just like, gosh, this red tape with people is just so annoying when you get to that level.
Yeah, it's these old school organizations that have done the same things forever. And whenever you ask what the reasoning for a lot of this stuff is, they don't even know. There's like, because this is how it's always been done. Yeah. It's like, well, that's not a good reason.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump to break real quick. Whenever we come back, we're going to be talking to Ben about his journey from Massachusetts all the way to the Yee Yee farm. See you in a minute. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the Yee Yee podcast. If you're enjoying this podcast, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button so that you get notified for all the upcoming episodes. We've got some fun guests coming up, and we want to make sure that you don't miss one of them. All right, we now welcome on very special guest, Intern Ben, who's already been in the corner for this interview, but I guess he's kind of a guest. Are you a guest?
I'll be called a guest today, I guess.
I guessed.
So corny. That's such a dad joke.
Why would anybody listen to this?
I sometimes think about that. Like we're halfway in the middle of saying something. I'm like, man, if I was listening right now, I would turn it off at this point. We'll see if the viewership goes down right here. Cool. So I just wanted to have you on a little bit to talk about your story, how you got here, because we get a lot of questions about how do I get a job? Like that's one of my top questions. I mean, people DM me all the time. I'm sure you get it too. And so we are very slow to hire, and we have been, and we're pretty bootstrapped business, and that's something that we take pride in. But we also have made to make some hires here recently. And so you have a really cool story about how you came on. And so I just kind of wanted to share that. So tell a little bit about where you're from. You grew up in Boston, correct? Boston area?
Boston area, so it's the first town south of Boston.
And you're super Irish, right?
Something like that.
So he's ginger. We finally added a ginger to the office, by the way. Classic. If you're watching on YouTube, he just took his hat off. So tell us a little bit about you went to where you went to college, what you went to college for. Are you using that degree at all right now? So tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, I went to a small school in Western Massachusetts. It's called Western New England University. I'm guessing about 0% of our viewers have ever heard of it. But I went there and studied engineering. And as of now, I'm doing marketing. So I'm using about 0% of that degree.
Yeah, and it's also not a great time to be finding a job in engineering, I guess, in the past year.
No.
How did you first hear about us?
So I'd been a really big fan of the brand and even Granger's music for the longest time. Like, we could go way back into all these crazy things. Like, I think if anyone had ever heard of Granger's Pledge of Allegiance tour, that was the only day in high school I was ever allowed to miss. So I was actually there in Boston on that.
Oh, he
stop.
was there?
Yeah, he was just downtown Boston, and I was able to leave school a little early. So
Did
I
you meet him
popped
that
down.
day?
I did.
Oh, nice.
And I'd been to a couple shows, and then like I think like a lot of our viewers, like I just look forward to the launches every time they came along. And so yeah, it went from that, and then there was one day, I think it would have been Hayden posted on Twitter and said, yeah, we're looking for a marketing intern to help with content and influencer relationships. And I texted my brother right away. I was like, should I like do anything about this? Like, I'm an engineer right now. Like, I don't know if I should be doing anything about a marketing internship, but it's literally my dream job. So yeah, I kind of got right into it, and all I needed to do was send in a few memes, and then I got a reply from you, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, the job said must be located local, and you were the furthest thing from local. You were in Massachusetts at the time. So I think it's like a cool story and a cool lesson. Like, you sent a really good email that was super personable, and we look at that. And you sent content with it. Like, so many people just don't read the directions of a resume. Like, that application, I mean, I tweeted about it, but then also like we had a listing and everything, and there were a few things that you had to do. Like, if you just sent your resume and you probably weren't going to get it. Like, this is a content oriented job. We want to see what type of content you can come up with, just in an email that you send to us. So the content that you sent was pretty good, and we had cycled through a couple people before. Didn't really ever work out that well. And yeah, so we got on a phone call, and then I think you just started doing, like, you were just working remotely doing content. And yeah, you can do content remotely for sure. You can do a lot of things, I think, remotely. We've seen in the last year with COVID and everything happening. But for us, it's really important that, I think, wouldn't you say that people that are in office feel more of a buy-in? They understand more. They work at a different pace, and they just get what we're building here more than someone that's remotely 24/7.
Yeah, it's hard to work remotely and see the light at the end of the tunnel with a business and understand, for lack of a better word, values, but really just the energy of the office. And when you're around here on a daily basis, just the little conversations go a long way that we don't really think about, but just the general optimism of the business and talking about the future. And it's hard to get that feel of the culture when you're working from home. It feels like almost like a regular job, and you're not getting any of the benefits of being around. Like, there's just something energizing about being around, Granger and Tyler, and talking about where they've been and where they're going. And yeah, it's a lot of fun being here. And I will say about Ben, like, the thing that helped him stand out was, like, when you have that college degree, or he almost had that college degree done. Not that that's like a deal killer for us, but when someone's just cold emailing you, like, it does say something about their work ethic, and you're not just someone who, it just says something about your work ethic. And then he obviously had the emotional intelligence that we look for, in that, you need to be able to understand, like, social cues and have enough emotional intelligence to make the memes and the type of, like, humor that we do. Not that we're super high level humor, but it does take a lot of intelligence to be able to put together that stuff. And you'd just be surprised about how many people say they want to work for us. But I'm sure they're awesome people and awesome supporters, but unfortunately, it's not usually a good fit.
Yeah, and it's just like, we get people hitting us up all the time, like, I want to work for y'all. And I think that there's a way to slide into the DMs and do that, and there's a way not to. There's a lot of ways not to. But, like, you should be thinking, how can you provide value to the other person on that end? Like, saying, are y'all hiring right now? I will 100% guarantee you that I won't respond, and neither will Parker or anything like that. Like, no one will. So like always be thinking about what you can, if you're, I don't care if you're thinking about changing a career right now or you're graduating college, you're graduating high school and college isn't right for you or whatever, wherever you're at, like think about that first message that you send. You only get one of those, whether it's an email or a DM or a text or whatever. And so think about how you can provide value, which is what you did a good job of. And I obviously caught the email immediately. So you worked remotely for how long making content for us?
So I worked remotely for about 4 months, I think it was, before I moved down.
And like when were you graduating? Like where is this all aligning with your school plans and where you were at?
So I actually graduated May of 2020, and I started working for y'all in November of 2020. So it was about 6 months after I'd actually graduated.
And you're doing graduate school, correct?
Yes. So currently in graduate school. Finish up later this year.
Yeah, you were already like too deep in.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I got to keep going with it.
Exactly.
It's one of those things. I got my master's degree and I do not use it ever.
Mm-hmm.
And no one in an interview has ever asked me about it. However, it's one of those things. Nothing will ever, no one or nothing can ever take that away from me. Like I got a master's degree. I've got it. Doesn't matter if I ever use it. It's something I'm proud of. So,
how are you doing mentally after moving down here across the country? How's your family handling it? How's the girlfriend handling it? All that. How is it compared to your expectations as well?
I mean, I think my expectations pretty much match it. I couldn't be more supported by my family and then my girlfriend as well. And she even made it here within like about a month of when I moved here. So she was so excited to like come down and meet everyone and just see what my day-to-day life is. And so I kind of expected it. I don't know if I thought it was going to go as smoothly, but really like my parents, when I told them about the opportunity to move down, they were like, follow your dreams. Now's the time.
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's super important. That's cool. Going back to the hiring process, really the biggest need that we have right now, like we started when Ben came, we started him in shipping just so that he could get a feel from the ground level of just, you get such a good idea of the, the foundation at its core of like what this business is, which is, an order coming in from a customer, a real person. You see that in first and last name, and someone spent their hard-earned money on a hat or a shirt, and then you go grab it off the shelf. And I just think there's something super special and grounding about starting off there in that shipping area. And if you are interested in working with us, our biggest need right now is in the shipping department, especially on launch weeks. We have upwards of 25 to 30 people here just in the distribution area. So if you are interested in doing that, then you can email store@yeeyeeapparel.com, and you have to be local for this one. So please don't email us if you're across the country. But if you're able to come into the office, we could probably give you an interview if you send in that you're interested in some hourly work. We could start you at the shipping area.
Yeah, there's just I think there's just a lot to be to tell people like about like how you got this job and everything, just because like I just get a lot of DMs and emails. I don't know, our emails are out there somewhere on the internet, and like we get like all this spam, not from people looking for jobs, from like vendors and stuff. But like whenever you're reaching out, like think about how you can provide value. Make sure that there's no grammatical errors, which I'm sometimes bad about myself. But read through all of that and really study a company. Like there's some, maybe a corporate company, there's not a lot of stuff out there that you can look into and see what their needs are. But with all the content that us and Granger and everything that we put out, like you could watch everything that we've put out over the last month and gone to our social profiles and all that stuff, and you could find an edge on like what we're looking for right now. Like the obvious one is, there's a few positions that we need to find or things that we're looking for, but like we need a graphic designer right now. And so we have different people reach out, and I don't know, the people that get creative with that type of stuff definitely goes a long ways. And at the end of the day, you just got to be good at the job. Like if you are a graphic designer and you send something and it's not what we're looking for, then that can only go so far. But I think there's a lot to be said for finding like for Ben, for example. Ben sent 4 or 5 memes in. Ben is obviously very familiar with our brand previously, but Ben looked at what we post, and he looked at our our voice online and was able to make some great content. I think like I liked all the stuff that you sent, whether it was 4 or 5 pieces of content. Whereas like we had people that followed the instructions and they sent all the memes in and everything, and they sent some video content, but it just didn't match our brand, and it was obvious that they probably weren't looking at our social profiles. So we can read right through that. It goes a long ways, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you were talking about your parents. What do you think? Do your parents even know what you do?
That's a good question. I think for the most part, they get it.
You should call them
right now.
Yeah, you should call them. Call them on air. Call either your mom or your dad. Call either your mom or your dad and ask them what you do on a daily basis for work.
I bet if I call my mom, she's gonna know exactly what it is.
So call your dad. Call your dad. We should all do this. Put up to the mic, loud. Is it on speaker? Okay.
Hey.
Hey, Dad. How's it going?
It's going good. How about you?
Good.
Don't tell me you're on.
I was just wondering if you could explain to me on a daily basis, what do you think I do for my job?
I don't know. It gets better every day.
Best guess.
Well, you got that right.
Best guess.
What would be your best guess?
It's very cold and bland what you would answer something that with. But you would take responsibility for marketing X number of dollars of apparel, and then expand on that a little bit. I've given you a 5-word sentence or something. You stretch it to 25 words. You following?
Yeah, makes sense. You're not too far off if you're thinking big picture.
We're just doing a report. See what our parents say. Okay.
All right.
I don't know.
Just
Put down,
just tell them we're asking what our parents think that we do.
Okay. Yeah, we were just all calling and asking what each of our parents think we do. But but thank you. And I'll give you a call later on today, I think.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, talk to you.
Talk to you.
He's so confused. I think he was mad by the end of the call.
He might have been asleep, to be honest.
You woke your dad up for that.
Yep.
By the way, that was like whenever you were told in class you have to do a response of at least 300 words, and you get done and it's like 100 words, and you're like, crap. Well, I better start lengthening this out. That was, by the way, what everyone that was what. It's just the most corporate marketing answer. All right, I'm gonna call my mom real quick. You're calling your mom next to see what she says.
She knows exactly what I do. She would be boring.
My dad would probably be more interesting, but he would read through it. My mom won't.
Hello?
Hey, Mom, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just had a question real quick.
Okay.
So if you were to explain what I do on a day-to-day basis for a living, what would you say?
To who?
Just in general. Like if someone asks, what does your son do for a living day-to-day? Not like he's marketing at Yee Yee Apparel. Like what does he do day-to-day operation-wise? What would you say?
Okay, I would say, so he works for an apparel company where he does e-commerce. And what that means is he uses the internet and various platforms of social media to try to build their customer base and increase sales. Is that right?
That's pretty spot on.
Okay.
Okay, we just needed it. We were seeing what our parents would say if we asked them what we do on a daily basis. That was pretty good.
Oh, really? Well, because if it's my friends, what I say is, I don't know. Every time I go, they're out there playing with the animals, lifting weights, or playing cornhole.
Oh man, that's good. You're on air, by the way.
Oh no.
Well, that's perfect. That's perfect content. That's exactly what we needed. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
All right, love you. Bye. Oh, I just cut her. I cut my mom off in the middle of a love you. Dang, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. Well, then I love that I didn't tell her that she was on the air, because then soon after she's like, well, they're always lifting, playing with animals, and playing cornhole. Yeah, well, she's not wrong.
I remember talking to one of my friend's parents. It was actually Kurt's mom, my buddy from Texas A&M. And I met her on tour one time when we were on tour with Granger. And because she just so happened to be in the area, and she and Kurt's dad came. And she goes, so how are you doing marketing when you didn't go to school for that? She was like, what did you go to school for? And I was like, well, I was in agricultural economics. And which at A&M is just the poor man's business school.
Right. If you can't make it in a maze,
Yeah,
that's what you do.
I was just in agricultural economics with a concentration in finance and real estate. It's just like, okay, whatever. And she was like, how do you do that without having a degree in marketing? She just could not get it through her head that you can learn things not in college and make a career out of it. It's so interesting world we live in now.
Yeah, and that's what people are doing, and that's what Ben has done too. So besides just the marketing, we're working on a program to work with different social media creators. People call that an influencer program. We're trying to get away from calling it that, because I think that sounds so pretentious. We all kind of agree.
What should we call it? Comment
yeah.
below. If you're on YouTube, comment below, because we're trying to brainstorm today of what we should call the influencer program. It's basically we were trying to think of so they're the leaders of Yee Yee around social media, ambassadors, influencers. We were trying to talk we were talking about calling them the Yee Yee gang, or the Yee Yee leaders, or comment below what you think a cool name for the influencer squad would be.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing about Texas? Texas forever. By the way, Ben is almost full on Texan. Give him a few more months and he's going to be full on Texan. He loves this place. So what's your favorite thing about Texas?
That's another good question. I think my favorite thing so far, and y'all are going to laugh at me, I think it's beautiful here. And I know Parker and I have joked
Nerd.
Parker and I have kind of joked about it, because he's like, oh yeah, everyone comes down here thinking that you're moving into Big Bend, but I'm so used to just such a hilly or mountainous kind of place. So here I pull into the Yee Yee farm and I'm looking out over the whole property, and you can just see for miles. Yeah. And I just think it's so relaxing in a way, and it's a good way to start the day, honestly, just to have that whole view.
Yeah, I kind of have gotten used to it over the last 3 years, but our old warehouse was this tiny leased office in Hutto, Texas. And it was just right off the interstate, and
loud.
And it was loud, and we were by construction company. It was just all concrete. So I do forget how your subconscious is just so at peace. You just automatically start your day a little bit better off than you would be in the city out here.
Yeah, wait till dove season comes. Dove season, you can go hunt in the morning, and there's a cornfield right next to us, so it's perfect.
What about food? What's your favorite food or drink, or restaurant chain? Either
he's gonna say it. I know he's gonna say it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna shout out P. Terry's on this one. So a lot of people, probably haven't even heard of it. Maybe if you're from the Dallas area, because it's
only
Austin.
Yeah, it's only Austin.
But yeah, my man Brian suggested it one time. So we went there, and I'm hooked. It's so good, and it's so close to my apartment.
All right, someone's got to say it. So you're gonna take P. Terry's over Whataburger?
I will, but to Whataburger's defense, I have not yet gotten the honey butter chicken biscuit.
I'll tell the listeners because I agree. I'm going to get some flack for this, but I agree. I think P. Terry's has the best burger. Whataburger on its best day is the best fast food burger there is. However, it's not always consistent. I've had some bad Whataburger before, whereas P. Terry's just hits different every single time. It's just always chef's kiss, amazing.
I don't think I've ever had P. Terry's. once.
You're gonna have to try it. It's really good. If you're ever in Austin or the Austin area, they're in Round Rock. There's one in Georgetown. They're south of us as well, quite a ways. They're fantastic.
Are y'all like burger and a shake people? Was that a thing? Was that a thing in Boston?
Yeah, like
Where you get a chocolate milkshake with your burger?
I wouldn't do it. Like I just kind of like soda or sweet tea usually. That's the other thing. Whataburger's sweet tea is top notch. I am all in on sweet tea. I think like when I was moving down, I got sweet tea at every single place. So I got it at a chicken place in Nashville. I stopped for barbecue in Memphis, and out of anywhere, it was either Whataburger or Bush's Chicken.
Yeah, Bush's is
sweet
good.
Tea.
Bush's, golly, man.
I don't know who started the whole burger and a milkshake thing. That
It's-
just, I never
it's-
could
no,
get
it's
on-
like
I
a
could just never get on
50s
board
diner
with that.
style.
Yeah, it's like the
kinda
diner
thing.
Yeah. That's not like a regional thing. Like any 50s diners, that was always.
No,
a
I
thing.
know. Yeah, I know. It's just so strange to me.
Well,
I guess it's not a Texas thing.
It feels like a coma for me. I
Yeah,
feel like a
it's just
food
like I
coma.
can't
I don't-
eat-
yeah.
I have to separate the sweets and the salt.
All right, should we go to break real quick and we'll come back and do the fantasy rankings with Ben. See you in a minute.
Thanks for listening to the Yee Yee podcast. We're a super relatable brand, so you should buy some shirts and some hats from us.
Stop.
No, but in all seriousness, thank you guys for listening. We have our summer launch June 18th. That's a Friday at 10 a.m. Central Time. And it's going to be our biggest launch ever. I know we say that every time, but I think that this one really is going to be the biggest launch ever. We've got some awesome swim trunks coming out. We got more leggings coming out. And it's just a super exciting time to be here. We just finished phase 1 of the warehouse extension. June 18th, Friday at 10 a.m. Now back to the show.
All right, thanks for that, Parker. Welcome back
You're
to
welcome,
the Yee.
Hayden.
Okay. Welcome back to the Yee Yee podcast. We're going to roll right into the fantasy rankings with Ben. So Ben is going to be on the fantasy rankings, and Ben is very excited to be on the fantasy rankings because he thought of this topic. Have you had this in your mind to do for a while?
So I thought of it when I was just traveling, actually.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so that's what it is. This is the most annoying things while traveling. There's probably going to be a lot. So we're going to let Ben go first. You're going to get the first overall pick. Most annoying things while traveling. Go ahead.
So first of all, I've been excited for this for a while because I know I'm going to beat Hayden, and everyone's
Whoa!
always talking about how good he is, but I don't know about this week.
I mean, you need to beat me in something because I'm destroying everybody in this office in cornhole.
Very true. So for my number 1 pick on most annoying things while traveling, I'm going to go with when you land on an airplane and everyone starts clapping.
Yep.
Like
That's
they
never
just-
happened to me before. That's happened to you?
So yeah, too many times. So I think it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like they were just doing their job. Like and you're clapping for them.
So
It's
that's why
like-
you don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. And like so I'll just be landing, everyone's clapping, and it's like, well, when I make a meme and I post it, no one's clapping for me.
Yeah,
Or
it's very true.
you can think of anyone doing
People
their
are
job.
going to start
no one's
commenting, clapping
for-
emojis on every meme now for Ben.
Probably.
It's like imagine making being a semi driver and just making a delivery, and as you pull into the loading dock, there's just 20 people outside. Just
Well, I remember when I was at Texas A&M, they would have buses taking the students around to different classes, and I remember one of my buddies was walking off one time and thanked the bus driver, and he's like, "You don't have to thank me, man. It's just my job." And I remember they were like, he was like, kind of took offense to it a little bit. He's like, "Dude, it's fine. Just get off."
Yeah.
Like, I'm just doing
it is
my
true.
job.
It is true. Everyone has jobs. Why do we thank some people for theirs and other people not for theirs? Like, I understand military. Like, thank military all day long. Thank you for your service. But like, I did it the other day. I've had 5 flights in the last week. And every single time after I get off the flight, I just walk by the what are they called? The flight attendants. I'm like, thank you. Like, why? They didn't. I mean, no knock on the flight attendants out there, but no one tells me thank you for my job. Why do we have to tell them? It's interesting how we do that with some jobs and not others.
I will say too that I think just in general public clapping is just annoying to me. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to the movies and people start clapping at the end. It's like they can't hear
They
you.
can't hear you. The director's not here. What is this? The screening of it? All right, that's good.
Gosh, when was the last time y'all were at a movie theater?
I think I have a hot take that movie theaters are gonna die here soon.
AMC.
I think COVID really crashed it. Okay. Mine's going to be the guy that holds up everyone in TSA. So, you have to take off your shoes, have to take off your belt, no liquids, all that stuff. This guy apparently didn't get the message, and he's traveled like a lot. It's not his first time flying. He's like a 60-year-old dude. Yeah, they're usually like senior age, but they go through the thing and it starts beeping, the thing where you put your hands up in the air, and they go, "Sir, do you have a belt on?" He's got a belt on. He does it again. He's got a bracelet on. He's got a necklace on. He's got his wedding ring on. This dude has everything still on. And then you find out he's still got his phone in his pocket. And everyone makes fun of the TSA agents for saying over and over again the same stuff. But then you see one of these guys go through, and you know exactly why they sit there and say that all day. Is that these guys that just, girls, whatever, that just still don't get it. So they hold up everyone in TSA. And it always seems to be happening on a flight that I'm running late to. So that's one of my pet peeves.
All right, one of my pet peeves in traveling is, what's the official name of this?
Most annoying things while traveling. We may go with pet peeves.
Most annoying things while traveling. My number one is actually probably being with people who are just talking about how annoying everything is the whole time. If you're just with somebody who's just like being negative, like everybody just knows that person who's like on the flight and they're just like, they're complaining about like the food that they had, or how if the plane's delayed, or just the people that make everything a little bit worse. Don't like surrounding myself with those types of people.
Whenever we landed the other day, we were really, really early, like really early, an hour early, and we had to sit on the tarmac for 45 minutes, but we still got out of the plane 15 minutes early compared to what we were going to be. And people were so mad, and I was in the middle of watching, like it was a football game. The FCS national championship was on, and it was like a tight game. So I did not care. I was just sitting there in the back of the plane, just chilling, watching this. And at one point I took off my headphones, and some guy was like, "This is ridiculous." I'm like, you were an hour early. Of course the gate's not open. It is frustrating, but come on. It's not their fault.
If you have your Bose headphones and a phone charge,
yeah,
like you get some headphones and a phone, like you can have me on that tarmac for 4 hours. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing I'd be doing at the office or at my house. Like, no big deal.
So true. All right, what you got, Ben? Second pick.
All right, so my second pick for most annoying things while traveling is going to be when someone keeps getting out of their seat to go to the bathroom and you're in the aisle. Because first of all, like,
no, I don't like this one. What if they have a problem? What if they have to pee a lot?
Well, then it's different.
They should have got an aisle seat.
But yeah, that
I don't
exactly
know.
what
I don't know
was
if this
gonna say.
plays, guys. This is.
So
Go ahead.
I'm a window seat guy, so I love just being next to the window. So if this guy picks the window,
Ben, I could see that.
If this guy picks the window and then I have to sit in the aisle, and then he gets up 6 times on our 2-hour flight to Nashville, I'm gonna be pretty mad about it. And it's like, do you want my aisle seat? I'll take your window.
That's such a funny thing to be mad about. I do not. Anytime someone needs to go to the bathroom, I don't think twice about it. Do you?
No, I don't. I've gone back and forth. I used to be a window guy. It depends on how sleepy I am. If it's early morning, I like to lean on the window. Yeah. But then Granger and Tyler have gotten me to switch to the aisle seat because I have to pee all the time just because I drink so much water. And so I'd hate being a burden on people and feeling like I'm doing that to Ben. Like, I can't stand that feeling of like, oh, this guy's going to be so annoyed if I have to go to the bathroom. And so I like to just be on the aisle. That way I can just know I have the option to go to the bathroom and not bother anybody.
Yeah, I guess I do think that too. But if I'm on the aisle seat, I never think twice about it.
No, I don't either.
So I guess Ben's a bad person is what we're saying.
Something like that.
All right, I guess I'm up next. Business guy. I cannot stand at the airport. Business guy that's always on his cell phone. He usually paces around the gate. Like, he can't just stay in one spot. We were at the airport the other day, and this guy was doing this. He just paces everywhere, and he's always on his phone, and he's talking out loud. He's got his headphones in, and he's talking very loudly about this business deal and that business deal, and he's usually wearing, like, nice clothes, and I can't stand that guy. I don't like him. We get it, bro. You do business. No one cares. Like, he's just so annoying. He's the guy that as soon as you get on the flight, he's got his laptop out. Like, we can't take, you know how you can't take any devices out besides your cell phone until you hit that certain point? And it's not that long. It's like 5 minutes after leaving. He's got his laptop out. And the flight attendants always have to tell him, put your laptop away, sir. It's like, dude, we're all doing it. You've been on a million flights if you're doing business. Just put your put your laptop up. It's so annoying. So I can't stand that guy.
A side of Granger that not many people get to see unless you know him pretty well. That's pretty funny. Is like we'll be traveling like in an airport like that, and there'll be one of those guys that we all Granger and Tyler always talk about guys like that who are just talking really loud to let everybody know they're doing big deals. And so if someone that is ever around Granger like that, he'll always just act like he's talking to them, and like just like get in on the conversation. The guy would be like, "Yeah, that's what I told him. Like we're not gonna do 7 a.m." Granger's like, "What do you think about like 10 a.m.? 10 a.m. instead of 7?" And then the guy just looks at him like, "What are you talking about?" They'd be like, "Yeah, dude, that's what I said. Like 50,000 or nothing." Granger's like, "Really? Not 60?" And then anytime someone like hurries past you with their suitcase, we were in Europe one time, and some guy like had the little roller suitcase, and he was like running pretty fast in the airport, and Granger just got right behind him and just started running with it with his butt shaking back and forth. It was pretty funny.
Granger's a really funny traveler. Another thing
He'll
that
surprise you because he's so serious
Right.
and like just like very like he'll just like randomly come out with silly goose humor.
It'll come out of nowhere. Like 2 hours, he hasn't said anything. Well, the other day, Chris, so Granger's tour manager, Chris, we went on the road like last week, and they were really cracking me up because they've flown so many hundreds and hundreds of times, if not over 1,000 by now. And they've got these little things that they do in the airport. And so as soon as we land in Austin, whenever we come home, Chris picks up the phone and he calls someone back, and they don't pick up, and he leaves a voicemail, and he's sitting right beside me, and he goes, "Hey, I saw you called yesterday. I'm sorry. We were in the hospital all day. Hayden got attacked by a dog." And he's speaking loudly. And so everyone starts looking around, and I'm just sitting beside him just cracking up because he's talking about me. They don't know who Hayden is, but I mean, he'll say whatever. And Granger's not quite to that level, but Granger will mess around too.
Yeah,
so.
Chris is on the podcast next week, and he's a character, man. We were on the plane the other day, and he'll always say something in front of people. Like if you're on a plane, and like he was sitting right behind me the other day, and he goes, "Parker, I just want to let you know I'm right behind you if you need anything. I'm right here behind you." And everybody's like, "What is this guy talking about?" And then the next flight on the way home, Crystal's next to me, and he goes, "Parker, I couldn't get behind you this time because somebody else took my seat." And he looks right at the person behind me, and he goes, "But I'll be right next to you if you need anything this time." And everyone is like, no one understands it. It's just the most strange humor.
Well, also he did something at the airport that I'm going to say if it doesn't get taken off the board. TBD on that. I'll say it at the end of this podcast. All right, Ben?
What? How many has everybody said?
We've
said
each said 2.
I think I've said 1.
Wait, what was mine? God, we're so bad at this. Oh, I said business guy. Now you're up. Yeah, sorry.
No deodorant guy. Stinky BO.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Especially on the airplane.
Yep.
Man. There's not really much worse than that. I really don't like the actually I won't even say anymore just in case it's one of y'all's. But yeah, that's a pretty bad one. There's a lot of things you can get around, but it's just hard to stop your nose up. I guess we have masks these days, but
couple years ago, Parker and I flew back from a trip, and we were in the very back of the plane. I remember you and I, and there was a guy in front of us. It was so bad. I mean, it was bad. I felt bad for the guy because it was that bad. But the flight attendant came over to us and was like motioning like y'all or him. It's like, you think it's us? Like, do we? I mean, I guess I don't know. You can't judge a book by its cover, but. Man, it was bad, and it was from New York City. So it was New York City to Austin. It was a very long flight, and it was painful. So that's a good one. Yeah. Wear deodorant and shower whenever you're going to travel in public. All right, Ben, last round. What you got?
All right. My last pick for most annoying things while traveling is going to be when the person in front of you, and this could be an airplane or even if you've taken like a long bus.
I can already tell this is so specific.
They lean their seat back.
yeah.
So that
I'm with you on that one.
literally.
No, y'all are so petty.
Well,
Do you lean your seat back?
Never.
What?
No, I never do
Because-
either.
So
I don't think I do
used
either,
to, but you get what, like 2 inches? It makes no difference to you. But if you have someone with long legs behind you, it completely changes their whole experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you really need to lean back slightly just to ruin my whole day?
Yeah.
Man.
The reward benefit for the person doing the action is much less marginally than the penalty or the I don't know why I'm phrasing it like this. The person behind him is going to be affected much more negatively than the person reclining is going to be affected positively. And I never do it for that purpose. Especially if I like to sleep, if I'm on the aisle, I like to sleep with my head down on the little
Yeah,
rest.
me too.
And if they move it back, it's just like
Yeah, I'm a tray sleeper. I'm a tray sleeper.
one of our buddies, he used to be in the band. He was just a total character. This guy started reclining a seat back on a plane one day, and he just grabs the guy's seat with his hand and just pushes it forward. And then the guy looks back, and he just goes and just shakes his head back and forth like, not today. And the guy just didn't do it.
It is true because you recline and you just go a little 2 inches. Like what's crazy to me is whenever the flight attendants are walking by and they're like, whenever you're landing and they're like, "Sir, seat up." I'm like, how can you even tell? Like it's literally centimeters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't put this on my notes, but I just thought of it. If I'm in the one thing that I hate about traveling, well, actually, I'm not gonna say that one. I don't think it's that good. I cannot stand people that use the entire outlet. You know, whenever you're at the gate and you're waiting for your flight and you're looking on the lookout for an outlet, and there's some guy or there's someone, guy, girl, whatever, has all 4 of the little outlets being used. I saw a new one this week, had all 4 outlets being used. However, one of them was a what's one of the little power, not a power bank, but what do you call the little things that have extra plugs? A little power strip. She had a power strip. It was a couple. They had this power strip, and then they had more plugs into that. So they were using up 4, but then more than 4. It's like, what are you even charging? They had they had too many kids. That's what it was. They had like 6 kids, but each kid had a laptop. Each kid had an iPad. It was terrible. So I don't like whenever people use all the outlets. All right, last pick, Park.
I think I just forgot it. Oh wait. Okay, so I was on a flight, and I had my head down on the tray table in front of me, and I feel someone poking me.
Oh,
she poked me like twice, and I was like, maybe she did that by accident. And then she poked again. I was like, okay, she's definitely poking me in an aggressive manner. It wasn't a soft poke. It was like a Karen poke. I could already tell. So I was like, I'm just gonna pretend like I can't feel it. And then she lifts up her hand and like calls the flight attendant over, and so the whole plane is like looking at her, and she's like, this guy's mask is coming down over his nose, and he's leaning all over me, in which I was not. I was like I was facing the other direction with my head on the tray table. And so the flight attendant like pretended to wake me up even though I was already awake. It's like that awkward moment where you're already awake and you got to pretend like, I'm sorry. Anyway, so just I understand the employees who are trying to get other people to put their mask on, but yeah, that was a very Karen thing of her to do. That was pretty annoying. And it's like a lot of times those people just want to make a scene.
Also, so the person poking you was the Karen sitting next to you?
Yeah.
One thing that made me think of that, we're now on honorable mention stage. We've already used all of our 3, but an honorable mention would be most flight attendants are not like this. Most of them are great. But the flight attendant that walks around with peanuts and you're asleep and she goes, I'm asleep.
No one's ever done that.
You've never had that happen?
No.
I've had it happen like 2 or 3 times. It's rare. But if you step onto a plane and go to sleep, you were trying to go to sleep. Like you don't just accidentally go to sleep. I've had people literally poke at me while I'm sleeping and be like, would you like any peanuts? Like, no, just put it.
I don't have any water for you, and I'm sure your mouth is dry from sleeping. Do you want some salty nuts?
Can I get some water as well? Oh, we already went around with the water. It's like, why didn't you wake me up then? I can't stand that. A few other honorable mentions. Stopping for gas. This is all like flying stuff, but one of the most annoying things about traveling is stopping for gas. You know, whenever you're in like a good groove and then you have to stop for gas, I hate that. Guy that goes around asking what everybody's boarding spot is. This is only like Southwest, because Southwest you don't have a seat. It's all about where you're boarding at. And I hate, you know how you're in a spot because there's numbers up on the wall on the little signs. It's like, dude, I'm 12 and you're 13. It does not matter. Like, just get in a spot. Those are so annoying. I'm so surprised that this should have been number 1 pick. I don't know why we didn't use it. People that stand up as soon as the plane lands. That's so annoying.
That one doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. It's it's just kind of dumb. Like, they're just idiots. People that stand on the moving walkways, I can't stand that. The moving walkways, it's there to walk. And then
yeah, that's true.
I don't like that. And then at the airport, they say, like, if you're standing, move to the right, but there's not enough room for 2 lanes on that thing. And then guy that crop dusts everybody. I can't stand the guy that crop dusts everybody. He's doing it because he's in a crowd. If you don't know what crop dusting is, it's farting and then leaving. Chris Lee did this the other day. Chris Lee did this at the airport, but Chris Lee didn't silently crop dust anybody. This plays into some of the jokes that we do. If he did it, I'm going to say this on the podcast. I don't care. If you can't do that and then not be okay with people talking about it. We land in Austin and we're waiting on one of the other guys to get off of his different flight. We're all standing around in a very crowded area. And Chris Lee just walks by and lets out the very, very loud fart. And Tyler Granger and I were all standing right there. And we all just dispersed. And everyone was just staring at us. I felt like everyone within... It was so loud that probably everyone within 20 feet, which was like half of this gate, looked over. And I just looked up as he farted. And he was just moving away. He was walking so briskly away from his fart that he left in the dust. So, and it was terrible.
That's
too.
my favorite type of humor. Is just playing on just humans all together. It's just like the most like random little things of just like embarrassing each other in front of people that you'll never see again. That's Chris Lee's specialty.
Well, then he kept talking about, he's like, oh yeah, dude, crop dusting is like my specialty. You can fart in front of anyone in an airport and like you can just walk away, which I believe in human decency. I don't like to do that. I don't think you should do that. However, there are people like Chris Lee that just want to watch the world burn. And I think that guy is probably on America's most crop dust wanted list for all airports.
I do have one honorable mention.
What's your honorable mention?
So it's when people try to share the armrest with you, especially when you're in the middle seat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm in the middle seat. You have your own armrest over there.
True.
Why don't you go use it?
Yeah, if you're in the middle seat, you kind of get both. Like if you're the window, you've got that whole thing to lean up on. You shouldn't get the armrest in the middle. I got into an armrest battle coming back from Chicago the other day with a guy. I ultimately won on one side and lost on the other. So I ended up with one armrest. It's better than none, but it is a battle. It's like a little psychological, warfare that you go back and forth.
I have one more story from our flight home the other day. I was sitting in the aisle seat, and this older lady comes up, and she was like pretty late. Well, it was like middle. It was like probably like about half of the boarding was done. It was Southwest, so you could pick whatever seat you want. They just give you a certain boarding position. And she walks up, and I'm in the aisle, and she goes, "Is that your backpack up there?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she was like, Could you move that for me? Do you mind?" And I was like, "Okay." There was a guy in the aisle, in the window seat, and then me in the aisle seat, and then there was a middle seat. I was like, "Okay, she's gonna take the middle seat, and sure, I'll be polite and take my bag down." So I took my bag down and put it in front, and then I help her. I grab her bag and put it up there, and then I stand to the side, and she goes, "Oh, I'm not going in there." And then she walks to the back of the plane. She didn't even want the seat. She just wanted me to move my bag. I thought that was so strange because there's plenty of space, overhead space in the back. And then I just sat down, and then she goes, "No, I'm not sitting there." And then the guy next to me just goes, like, "What was that?"
Well, sometimes at the end of boarding, they'll tell people, like, it's going to be a full flight, so if you find a little space, go ahead and put your bag and then walk to the back. I have seen them do that before.
I've never heard of that.
Well, you've probably never been at the back of boarding.
I feel dumb.
Yeah. All right, we got anything else, boys?
Good on my end.
No. Thanks for coming, Ben.
Thanks for
joining
having
us,
me.
Even though you're in here every single podcast episode.
We finally let him get
I'm
him
happy to be in this corner for this one.
Yeah.
All right, tune in next week. We're going to have Chris Lee on. Super excited about that interview. Make sure if you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'll see y'all next week. Eat your veggies.